Hello and welcome to another RIWAN podcast. Here I'm Conansson and I'm once again joined by Wick,
Hello.
and we have a special guest today, one of the best players on the EU chart I know, and it's Leer.
What's up?
Hello. Nice to have you here.
Welcome,
Yes,
Now,
thanks for having me.
Leer is also a mod in the RIWAN Discord and also a member of the ABG team, like all of us, and has won Fight Night, the big weekly tournament, with actual prize money not only once, but now twice in a row, which is
Yeah.
quite a feat
Yo,
and it's really impressive.
Very
So, Leer, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
yeah, I'm a player from Germany, just as Conansson, and I also write articles, meta reports, and it's really fun. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah. And you write
And-
with Mastering, correct?
Mastering Runeterra, yeah, exactly. Since they were founded, basically the website. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate your articles and your writings.
Oh,
I'm a
thank
big
you.
fan of you as well.
I gave him a helpful award yesterday, I think, or the day before, because they're just so cool.
Mhm.
And probably everybody has seen them before. I just like the cool ones with like where you have the two champions and then they have like the bars on the left and the right, and you see how much they played.
Yeah,
It's really well made.
that was really an upgrade when I actually met Hazy over here at RIWAN. And he was really feeling insecure about his graphics and that everyone was doing better meta reports. And I was just like, yo, they are super sick and please work with me.
Exactly. So my first question would be, did you participate in any other lore events before that, or in any other, let's say, magic events or something like that, or other card games?
Yeah, sure. I started with Hearthstone, and then there was like a big shitstorm for the game because everything was RNG and a lot of pros were leaving, and so I also left and went to Gwent, a new card game. Well, at the time it was new, and I really enjoyed it, and also my favorite streamer, Life Coach, he's called.
Life Coach, yeah.
Yeah, I really watched a lot of him and basically learned with his videos and all. And that's really where I went, really competitive, and also even stopped going to university for half a year to go pro.
Crazy.
And yeah, it was really an exciting time, and I have a lot of love for that game. And then I basically after this half year, I climbed to like top 20 in the world.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, it was a more rigorous ladder system where you wouldn't climb 10 ranks if you win a game or something, and you had to play like several hundred games, and the average win rate of over all games would be taken as your score, something like that. Yeah, and then but unfortunately, only the top 8 would get invited to a tourney, and there were not many other tournaments, unfortunately, so the scene was quite small. And yeah, in Legends of Runeterra, you get invited in this huge seasonal tournament, right? But in Gwent, there's nothing like that. So that's also why I'm really happy that we get to play as low master players, for example, in these seasonal
Or
open
even
runs.
as like gauntlet players, like even if you're like Iron or something.
Yeah.
Play in a tournament.
Yeah, that's why I've played in all the seasonals. I just played through Gauntlet because I don't play ladder enough.
Yeah, and then after this half year, I basically didn't make it. Only not in this tournament, and then I decided I basically had to move on, and that's when I also decided I want to focus on university more, because my whole premise was that I couldn't focus on university and card games at the same time. In high school, it was a little different. In my last year, you have a lot of free time. You go to school, you come back, and you don't need to do like extracurricular work or something. But in uni, you really have to work a lot. So especially I study mathematics, so it's also a little more complicated.
Oh,
And that's when I decided after this half a year that I will focus on university now. And I also decided I needed to change of card game. I couldn't look at Gwent anymore. And that's when Artifact came out. And I went to Artifact, and I really, really loved that game. Like, the arena mode was amazing. I played so much. But yeah, it's a really sad story about Artifact. If you don't know about it, you don't need to know about it. It's just the developers not the developers, but the producers, I guess, just killed the game because it didn't make enough money, even though it was really beautiful. And then I had to move on to something else. And I don't know exactly what the transition was, but at some time the beta for Legends of Runeterra got announced, and I signed up. And yeah, that's what I've been doing since then.
How long have you been playing Legends of Runeterra? Like, when did you get into the game?
Oh, since the beta, I mean, yeah.
Since beta? Oh, okay.
I was was there when the first ranked season was released, and I quickly turned to an expedition player. Though I think Conansson can also relate. I'm not sure about you now,
Nice.
Brian, but yeah. And I played a lot of expedition. I really loved it. But at some point, I made kind of a cut for 1 year, I think, where I didn't play Legends of Runeterra at all.
Okay.
And I was more into watching competitive League of Legends and, yeah, not really feeling playing the game. But then I came back when, I don't even know when I came back, but at some point I did. And when Aphelios got released, I decided, hey, that's such a sick champ. I want to try him out in a custom-made deck. And I saw on a random stream, I mean, it was the seasonals, where Petish played Aphelios Victor. And Victor was my favorite League of Legends champion, and Aphelios was my favorite Legends of Runeterra champ, so I had to try out the deck, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, but you did bring the Winding Light list to the Fight Nights, and although Victor's not in that, I do see a lot of variants with Aphelios and Victor. Especially in those color combinations right now. I think that's a very, very strong deck at the moment. But that's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people really liked Aphelios, and I'm glad that his design kind of brought you back into the game.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that he got buffed back again or unnerfed.
absolutely.
Temple was too OP.
Yeah. So it's quite a story. It's actually really mimicking my story as well, where I started with Hearthstone when you were in high school, similar to me, and then moved on to different games. For me, it was MTG instead of Gwent and Artifact. I never tried those two, sadly, but then also joined Lore, so we have quite a similar journey. And
Nice.
yeah, also expedition players. I have 3,000 recorded expedition games. So
yeah, I think that sorry if I'm taking over, but I think it's really I also wrote an article about it at Mastering Runeterra about my journey and what it means to me winning this fight night and all. And it's always surprising to or heartwarming to see when people comment like, hey, I feel like the same, I have the same sentiment towards the game or a similar journey and everything. And I was at the beginning really insecure, especially in real life, about sharing this past, especially with like taking off a half a year for Gwent and all. That's also kind of, I mean, it's you're not happy about it that it didn't work out and all. But when you share it and other people say like, hey, I feel that I have a similar experience, it's really a mind-opening experience and also really nice to connect with this way with people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that a lot of us, face that sort of decision when it comes to higher education of whether we're going to fully commit to learning more or if we want to try to commit to something else. I stopped doing school for a while as well when I was involved with the semi-professional League of Legends management that I was doing. And that was a cognitive decision as well, to say, right now school is not going to be my priority. I'm just going to work on League of Legends. And then that break eventually translated into me like working full time. But I think that I think it's really cool when you really want to try hard in something. And I think that even though a lot of people might question that motivation to drop
Mhm.
academia in regards, or excuse me, you're dropping academia in order to pursue competitive video games. I'm sure a lot of people in society won't understand that, but I think that it's honorable, and I think I'm glad that a lot of people have sort of rallied behind your post. And you mentioned that article, and we'll include a link to that for everybody to check out,
Yeah.
because I read through that, and that was very insightful
Oh.
as well. So
Yeah, also, I want to add that it's one of the proudest decisions that I've made to take this half a year off, because it's these
awesome.
type of decisions where, yeah, no one really understands them, and you don't have many people like supporting you or something. And it's really something that, nobody set you up for making that decision. It's your own decision
Right.
against every other's opinion. And that's also,
Absolutely.
worth something, I think. It's,
Yeah, great.
Fully agree.
Okay, let's move over to Fight Night. So, how did you get invited in the first place? Do you know that?
Yeah, I mean, I joined ABG a couple of weeks or months ago, and there, Wick basically said that, actually Zero, the EMEA manager of ABG, said like we should sign up for Fight Night for this in this document that you could fill out, and I did that and never heard back. Surprise. And then we came basically into the Discord and was like, hey, I have talked to Croc, the tournament organizer. Can you
He's
call
the
him?
tournament organizer. Yeah.
Okay,
Top
yeah.
AI?
Yeah, and we spoke with him and said that the Fight Night was still searching for contenders, and that he could get 2 of us in. And then I was like, yeah, I don't feel like one of the best here in this team, so I will let other people play. And then, other people wanted to play, but then they couldn't or had other things to do. And then Zero asked me again, like, hey, do you want to play in this Fight Night? No one else can make it. And then I said yes the second time.
Nice. And then actually you invited me after you won the first one to join the second one. But I had a major chess tournament or a major chess event on the same day, so I couldn't make it either. So I asked Croc, and we postponed it until 1 week later. And then it turned out there won't be a week later. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sadly,
Unfortunate.
yeah. But thank you again for giving me an invite as well. It was like the biggest honor I got after the card deck. So
I mean, it's really. I mean, I could always invite just people I think that are cracked or that already have been participated. For example, Sorry was a huge Trixer Sorry, a player called Sorry, was a huge inspiration for me to start writing articles in the first place. And I'm not in close contact with him, but I mean, I could have easily invited him, but he already played some of these and he already had tournament successes. And yeah, I was really grateful that I could play in a Fight Night and make this experience. So I think that, I also wanted to invite someone that doesn't have so much experience and that it would be really valuable for.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So the general format was like 8 people, and then you have like a winner bracket, loser bracket, and then like we don't have to go too much in depth. Oh, in-game update is available. Okay. We'll do it in the background.
So it was just it was like a 8-player double elimination bracket, and I think if I recall correctly, during both of your runs, I don't think that you dropped a set. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Most of the times I made
insane.
through the upper bracket.
That's crazy. And then I don't even think that they didn't even get to force you into the run back for the finals, correct?
No,
Like you
yeah, correct.
clapped everybody.
If you want to call it that way, yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any other way to define it when like you're literally not dropping any sets twice in a row. I don't think that many people just have a flawless winners run twice in a row on Fight Night. Especially, Fight Night is widely considered to be one of the most prestigious tournaments in Legends of Runeterra because it is invite only and because typically the players will just invite other very, very strong players. And so I think that it was a very good test. It's a very good test for anybody who wants to prove to themselves that they're worth anything. So I'm glad that like you were able to participate when you had initially gone into it not really sure about how well you would do. I remember when you hopped into the channel looking for scrim and seeking help for preparation. What were your thoughts, when you first got invited? Like what were your thoughts, in regards to like how you wanted to prepare? Like did you know what decks you wanted to bring already? Was this like your first big Legends of Runeterra tournament?
I played in like 4 or so seasonal open rounds so far, so I definitely was used to building a lineup and thinking about that stuff,
Gotcha.
and also playing for longer times.
Mhm.
But yeah, never with this high stakes, I guess. And yeah, the thing is, I'm focusing on university, and I have a really busy semester or university
Mhm.
time, so I can't dedicate much time to preparation, and that also meant that I couldn't learn like the 3 best decks that are currently in the meta and then bring them. So I really had to go from where I was comfortable with. And so I thought just what my comfort decks were, and these were usually Demacia decks. And I just went from there and wanted to build my lineup around Pantheon or Akshan Sivir, for example. And that's how I went with this, like what matchup tables fit the most. And then I also talked with Drespo about it. And he also helped me decide how to tag my decks. And so that was I didn't have that much preparation, to be honest. It was basically like one day thinking about
Yeah.
what to bring and what to tag, and then like counting the days off, and worrying about shouldn't I bring something else? Shouldn't I tag it some other way? Yeah.
And I was so amazed by this because Scars is my favorite deck, and I have like the most games and all on this deck, and I can't make it work at all in this current season because of the Viego running around and stuff. And see you just destroy everybody with it. It was just so amazing to me.
I mean, fun fact, Scouts, I didn't get to play one single time with Scouts in both my fight nights. It was always banned. It was just perma-banned.
That's crazy.
I
Yes.
think Scouts is a very scary deck in best of threes. I don't know about ladder right now for sure.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, I have to say, Scouts is one of the scariest decks to bring myself because it can just brick if you don't draw very well. And then you really can. This is one of the. I mean, a lot of decks you don't lose if you have a bad starting hand, but with Scouts, if you get like 2 sharp sides and a rally, like you're out of the game, you can't come back from that. So it's always scary to bring these kind of decks.
I find this list very interesting. These are also the lists like I prepare a lot for. So if you want, we can talk a bit about these.
Yeah,
cards.
sure.
Yes, please.
So the first thing I notice is you don't opt for the 4th 1-drop here. Instead, you play the 3 of Marai Warden. I know the standard in Masters right now is 2 instead of 3, and only 1 Blinding Assault in exchange for the 4th 6-drop. So maybe there's this general. Why do you put so much emphasis on the 2 drops and the 6 drops?
So I didn't play the first 1-drop because I don't. I mean, I like I don't know how, Pet Squire or something. I don't know, but I typically like to play her, but I wasn't really trying to tag my scouts for control. Against aggro, so I didn't feel like I needed this force one drop, even though it's difficult to say, right? Because putting in a extra Mara Warden arguably is better against aggro. So yeah, I think Scouts is one of these decks which is kind of difficult to tag. It's just a question of what you think is like the best list, I guess. And yeah, I just felt for me that running for 6 drops is really nice. You always have a curve. I mean,
Finisher.
earlier I really hated Cytheria because you can't attack with Cytheria and buff your scouts first and then attack with scouts again. So I really hated Cytheria. But I watched a video by, or a Twitter short video by Sir Turmond, where he absolutely demolished a mono Shurima player with Cytheria by not attacking until turn 6 and completely relying on her. And that really changed my mind onto playing more copies of Cytheria.
Interesting,
yes, indeed. I was one of the people who didn't like Mara Warden at all at first, but definitely grew on me after playing it more.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about the 2 mana. Can you scroll up a little bit? About Blinding Assault, because data on it for Mulligan and stuff really implies that Blinding Assault is an insane win rate card if you keep it in your opening hand. But I don't know, a lot of people started to cut it, and I don't know, I just went with this overall movement, and I didn't want to eliminate it at all, but I guess it doesn't do much if you don't draw Misfortune, so
Yeah.
It's really tough against the Wild Feasts that run around and the Blade's Edges even. Good thing to say.
Yeah, and also I started by watching other great players like Keva in a seasonal open run. That Vanguard Sergeant is a really big card where it's just a win condition, and usually I just threw it away and full mulliganed always for Misfortune. But now I started to keep it more in my opening hand.
I find it so crazy. Like in the recent, last 2 days, people have been going down to 2 Vanguard Sergeant in Masters, which I find really, really surprising because it's like such a good card.
Yeah, but you don't want to have 2 of them, right? Because they only are 3/3. It's difficult. Yeah. And Shield of Yuan, I have zero clue what Shield of Yuan does. I just play one because I think, especially in tournaments, having one-offs is really nice for the mind games. But yeah, that's the only reason why it's there.
That's really funny.
Interesting that you go down to 2 sharp side instead of cutting one of the Rangers Resolves.
No, I really love Rangers Resolve.
Really? I never liked it, but I can see the arguments for it. Why do you love it?
Or you draw 2 of them in the opening hand and lose a game, yeah. Sorry, what?
Like I just mean in the meta, like it protects from Wild Feast against Wild Feast, or like Withering Veil from Go Hard. But like against most decks, it's really low impact, I feel. Like for example, against Viego stuff.
Yeah, against Viego, but how do you want to make Scouts win against Viego? It's impossible.
That's obviously correct. But even what deck is it good against?
Rangers Resolve?
Red card.
I mean, against Demacia, when you trade a lot, I think it's kind of nice.
Okay, yeah. I guess the best Demacia deck otherwise is like Bard, and I never had much success with Bard because it's just so much bigger than me.
Yeah, but also this list isn't targeted for Bard, so I don't know.
Yes. Well, what did you target with this list? Was there anything in particular you had in mind?
Yeah, I mostly wanted to be... I mean, I wanted to be good against aggro, which is funny because I brought Pantheon Yuumi, right? But I don't know. I targeted Fizz Riven, definitely. And I'm not sure. I wasn't... in my mind, I wasn't really trying to target anything, but just to bring 3 decks with a coherent matchup table. And
that makes sense.
I was really, really afraid of a triple Noxus lineup, like Viego Elise and Tribeam and also any Jhin. And that's where I decided like I wanted to at least check my Pantheon deck for aggro so it would win against Ginny or any Jin. And then also my Akshan Sivir list being better against Viego, because I decided I want to ban Tribeam and go from there.
Do you consider bringing Aphelios as a third deck instead of Yuumi Pantheon? Because Aphelios is like the same matchup table as Scouts.
Yeah. I mean, I did that the second Fight Net run, but in the first I didn't know this deck existed. And I was really surprised that a lot of people brought it, and I was like, what the heck is this deck? And then it turns out it has a really great matchup table, and yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like for the last seasonals, I brought Physophilios, Scouts, and Cannon Lulu, because I couldn't bring Fizz Lulu, basically Orders and Arms. The same 3 strategies 3 times. Like the last EMA tournament, I brought Scouts, Pantheon, and Viego Noxus, and got basically destroyed, went like 1-2, like our internal ABG tournaments, because like Pantheon just loses to aggro and Scouts just loses to Viego. So it's like is kind of awkward, this combination.
Yeah, but my other option would have been to bring Ilaoi Demacia instead of Scouts, because it turns out that it would have been really nice to bring Akshan Sivir, Scouts, and Ilaoi Demacia, but Ilaoi Demacia and Scouts have the same regions. And bringing Pantheon Demacia and then also Ilaoi Demacia, I would have went into targeting Thralls, but I didn't think people would bring Thralls because it was really anticipated that people would bring it and you could definitely target it. And I just wanted to be a little bit better against aggro, I guess. Even though Ilaoi Demacia is good against aggro, so I'm not sure what my exact thinking was there, but I just liked Scouts better.
Maybe to close up the Scouts discussion deck, I can show you my deck really quickly that I usually use in tournaments. I also cut the 4th 1-drop recently. I have 2 Blinding, 2 Marai, and then 3 Sharp Sight, 1 Shield. Maybe a little bit too many spells. I only have 3 6-drops. I still don't like Cythria. And I play the 1-off Cataclysm, which is actually really insane if you like curve like Bank 1, Sculptor, Broadwing into Misfortune on 4, and then you can go Quinn into Rally with Cataclysm on turn 5.
Yeah, I mean, if you can pick exactly which card you draw, then sure.
I think that the internal testing from Always Be Gaming in regards to Scout, especially for the last seasonals, a lot of people landed on a single Cataclysm just for the mirror. A lot of people were assuming that Scouts would be very widespread, and having a little bit more interaction in your Scouts deck kind of allowed you to swing matchups that you wouldn't normally be able to swing. So I personally like Cataclysm. It's one of my favorite cards in the game, and I think that it is a little spicy in Scouts. I think it's I think more people should run it, in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, I really love Cataclysm in Pantheon Yuumi Demacia. Before, like when Yuumi wasn't released, and there was also Mono Pantheon going around. I think the biggest reason why Mono Pantheon had a bigger win rate was because people were playing Cataclysm in that list. And Cataclysm paired with Overwhelm attacks are just really stupid, I think. Yeah, that's really nutty. And at that time, I was so huge, I don't know, yes-sayer, or I was really advertising putting Cataclysm in your Pantheon decks. And now it has kind of become, usual practice.
Yeah. People even cut like golden niches, it's called like. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I think Cataclysm is crazy. With Quick Attack, it's crazy. With Overwhelm, I think it's just a fantastic card.
With Scout.
Oh, yeah. With Scout, it's crazy. That's true.
Okay, let's move on to the next decks, I would say. Otherwise, we just speak about Scouts all day, despite me loving to speak about Scouts all day. Which one should we talk about next?
Let's hop into the Akshan Sivir. I feel like I saw you playing a lot of Akshan Sivir.
Yeah. I really like Akshan Sivir because it has almost against every deck realistic chances to win the game. It's not like a deck that is 70 or 30% win rate against decks. And I really appreciate that.
I think we see here a lot of... Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I don't really have the whole Akshan Sivir lists memorized because basically nobody plays it on ladder. But
Yeah.
I see like them spicy. I don't know if it's like normal to have like 2 Rite of Negation, for example. It seems a little bit off. But
These ratios are pretty interesting. I
Yeah.
don't mind this.
like these characters, the single combat is like normal. I don't know about 2 Treasure Seeker. This is like normal. 1 Perseverance is interesting. Cataclysm. As a one of I've seen it as 2 as well. Quicksand I've seen as 2 or as 1. The rest seems like normal.
Yeah, I mean,
What about Consolidate?
I think Cataclysm is one I played since I started playing the deck several seasons ago. I never changed it. I think single combat usually you run more copies, or at least I like to run more copies, but I wanted to tailor my Akshan Sivir against Vigo Control. So I decided that putting more concerted strikes into the deck would felt really good, and it also felt good against Bart Galio, for example, so I didn't mind including 3 concerted strikes just for more value instead of a second single combat.
Mhm.
And then I mean the Patricide, the Fleet Feather Tracker was going away before the Patricide, and then I don't know, I just net decked this list from Belko's Archetype
Alright.
Analyzer, which had the highest win rate, and everyone was playing 2 Treasure Seekers, so I went with that.
You don't even play the Fleet Feather Tracker. It's like one of the stronger starts.
Yeah, but
It's really interesting.
if you have Patricide Broadwing, I mean, it's too low value if you play more Fleet Feather Trackers, I think. At least for what
Yeah,
my
like
deck wanted to do.
interesting. 0 people play 3 of Consolidate Strike in like high masters, but it's also ladder environment, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah, just
Really
tagged
interesting.
it for that matchup. And then I think I really disliked Quicksand in Akshan Sivir because Akshan Sivir wants to kill you and not play defensive. But as a one-off, it's always nice. And I played 2 of Rite of Negation. I don't know why. I think it was also okay against Diego Noxus, but not really doing much there. I guess I wanted to take it for Thralls because I felt confident in this Thralls matchup. Yeah, that was the decision. But then in the second tournament, I decided to cut it to 1 Rite of Negation. Again, I really love running one-offs in tournaments because people either they play around it and you don't have it in its grade, or they don't play around it and you happen to have it and win the games through that. So it's a lot of mind games. And I decided to put in 2 Quicksands instead. That's the only change. Because I wanted to.
Just that you don't like it. But
Yeah, exactly. But I wanted to target Fizz Riven more heavily because everyone was saying Fizz Riven is the most cracked deck, and I really was expecting that people would bring it again if they brought it the first time. And I think that also showed in my games that the second Quicksand tag was really amazing and worked out for me very well.
Yeah. So I think the biggest change you made to the deck, looking at the master list, is like to cut the Fleet Feather Trackers and added like the second Quicksand and second Consolidate Strike or Rite of Negation.
Yeah, I wouldn't play this deck on ladder, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Interesting. And I didn't really try this deck ever. But why do you like it so much? Like you said before, with like the win rate, like you can win against every deck.
Yeah.
Is there something else?
Yeah, I actually I really love to play reactive decks that have an answer to everything, like Targon Invoke or something. But I just felt that with Demacia mid-range decks, it's a combo between playing like a combo mid-range kill combination where you have to think about your game plan ahead, but also you need to take action. You can't just sit back, and that actually forces me to do something. And that really helps me to be more decisive, because in these control reactive decks that I used to play, I just would never make a decision because I was so overthinking everything. And Demacia mid-range decks just happen to really work well for me. And I really like this
Right.
deck because you can do everything kind of. You can
Yeah.
make your opponent's units vulnerable. You can play for more value. You can
Mhm.
also make big attacks and combos. So, yeah.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah. I definitely think that Akshan Sivir has been a competitive staple since it was released. And I think it's the combination of the fact that the deck is fairly offensive, but also is very comfortable with allowing your opponent to play into you so that you can react. I think that the Shurima and Demacia spells are very good for that. Um, and I don't know, I think that this deck is very scary in the right hands. I'm surprised that it doesn't see a lot of play as much as it used to, because I mean, this used to be just like the deck, right? Like everybody would play this deck.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. I think it's a really great deck for tournaments, like you were implying.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's
Actually,
just like,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Actually, fun fact: I didn't touch this deck when it was OP. I just hate to play this one OP deck, so I never touched it until it was nerfed.
You're too much of a hipster.
Yeah,
The
and
biggest problem with the
also
deck is that my Sivir is not prismatic, so I can't play it. I only play prismatic cards.
rough. Yeah, also I remember when LNZQ was streaming his world games and then also
Yeah.
analyzing them. And that's
Yeah.
actually where I learned the most about this deck, when he was analyzing his games and
Mhm.
talked very in depth about everything this deck wanted to do and how he misplayed or what he thought. That was just pushing me to another level with this deck.
Yeah. And I really like how there are different skill levels for decks and different, just levels how you can play, because like before on Leather I just played the new Viego Noxus deck, and sure there's some nuances, but basically you're just like, hey, I play a Viego, hey, I play another big guy, here's another big guy, deal with it. And then today I started playing Akshan Lee Sin, and it was like so many possible lights, so many possibilities. It's like crazy.
Mhm.
And I assume this is like similar with Akshan Sivir. You have like so many different ways to outplay your opponent.
Yeah.
And it's just much better on higher ranks than, for example, Viego Noxus, which is just like a raw power level where you throw big guys at them and hope they stick.
Yeah. So I guess we can move on to what were the. I think you brought Akshan, Sivir, and Scouts to both weeks, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So your two flex decks were the Targon PZ and then the Pantheon deck. Which one? I believe that you brought the Pantheon deck the first week.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about that, and then we can transition into the Piltover deck, and then explain like why you didn't want to bring it Pantheon the second week. So let's go ahead and talk about this Pantheon list. Conansson, what are some tech choices or ratios that you're interested in?
So I'm very surprised by this list. I actually built my Pantheon list like 2 days ago, and it seems like quite a few changes actually to the normal lists. First of all, the Petrosite Broadwing is a 2-off. It's like more of a tech choice and ladder as far as I've seen. Then 2 sharp sides, like this is usual. You play 5 2-cost combat tricks, either 3 sharp side, 2 pale, or 2 pale, 3 sharp side. I'm really surprised that you don't run a third Cataclysm, especially since I guess you still run rallies, ages. Most decks that I've seen have mostly cut golden aegis just for more Cataclysms, or play like a one of aegis. Another thing that really surprises me is the one of Concerted Strike, where like 90% of players play 2 of, and lack of Bastion overall. Like I personally play 2 Bastion because it's such a cool card
No
against many
Bastion.
matchups. Let's start with the Broadwing maybe. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe about my general idea about the deck.
True.
I wanted to bring Pantheon Yuumi because it's my favorite deck, and I'm just very practiced on it, and that's one of these few decks where I think I'm really playing really well on it, and that's why I just wanted to play it also for confidence boost, I guess, when playing it.
Mhm.
And Yeah, then the question was about the Patricide. Exactly, because I knew that Pantheon, I mean, I was kind of fucked for bringing Pantheon Yuumi because it was not so well doing in the meta overall. A lot of target decks were naturally targeting the deck. So I was thinking like, okay, I want to bring Pantheon Yuumi, but it gets kind of countered by everything. So let's at least make it good against something that it's usually not good against. And for me, that was aggro. I really wanted to beat any Jin. And that's why I decided to bring the Petricide Broadwings in, because they just murder any Jin. and they ended up winning me a series. So yeah.
Yeah. I like it, but it's just like uncommon. I'm just like saying.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I saw some also tournament decks where they played Petricide and was like, I don't really like it, but I ended up bringing it myself. So yeah. But yeah, usually actually, what the data says and what a lot of ladder decks say is you play 3 of Sharpside and 3 of Pale Cascade, and you only play 2 Guiding Touches. Basically, that's, at least data-wise, I believe the best version. But I wanted again to be a little more solid against Viego Noxus, so I just wanted this extra card draw instead of the Sharpside. Again, not thinking about Fizz Riven. I wasn't so aware that would be a huge thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that Fizz Riven saw a lot more representation, because in that first week, I don't think we saw any Viego Deserter decks.
Yeah, exactly.
And even the next week, only one showed up, which was surprising. But
yeah, for me as well, I don't understand why. I guess because it's bad against Fizz Riven.
valid, yeah. A little bit more targetable in a BO3.
So you cut 1 Concerted Strike for the aggro matchup as well, right?
Actually, I played 0 Concerted Strikes on my usual list because I didn't see the point. But I mean, this was before the Viego matchup, Viego Noxus thing. So yeah, my usual list would also include more Bastions. But I think that especially against Viego Noxus, I mean, sure, your Bastion forces out one more removal, but especially like Shadow Isles, they play Vengeance and then they play with 9 mana also the 2 mana ping effect. So it just Wifies. So Bastion doesn't hold that much value for that. So I decided that, yeah, Bastion wasn't in the best spots against Noxus decks also. So I just decided to cut it and run a more aggressive list. And I decided to put back in 1 Concerted Strike because it's good against Viego. And I was actually testing out my last card, if it should be Blind Mystic or Hush or a Concerted Strike. And I was actually playing Hush. And then I had some pretty horrible games where Hush did nothing. And I put in Blind Mystic. And then, this was a few hours before we had to register the decks. And then a day later, I mean, it was Friday, I saw all the enemy decks. And I realized, so many brought Fizz Riven. I would have loved to have a Hush. So I really regretted that choice.
Yeah.
Interesting, but Hush doesn't really do that much against Fizz Riven, from my experience. They just play a Might and still kill you.
No, but if you Hush Fizz, you can just block with your 10 health unit. But yeah, I mean, this matchup is supposed to be super favored for Pantheon Yuumi, but I really had I was testing this matchup one day before or a couple of hours before my first match, and I lost every single game because my opponent drew Fizz and I just couldn't kill them before turn 5 or 6, where they just play Papercraft and Fizz, and the deck, I mean, Pantheon Yuumi can't interact with Fizz, so it's really rough. But then in my games, my opponents didn't draw Fizz, and I won every game with in that matchup.
Great. I'm also really surprised about the Cataclysm, because I found this to be one of the best cards, like as a 3-of in my, like I can show you my version as a comparison right now. It's probably not as tested, of course, but this is what I run. Like also Chain Vest interests.
Single chain vest.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
play that card, but then I looked at the data again, and Chain Vest is horrible. So
It's more of a
and
meme card.
Judgment is just I can't take you serious. Sorry, but
Yo, yeah, that is kind
Hey.
of crazy, bro.
23.6% of the top 10% lastest players play Judgment. So
yeah, but it's still bad.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so troll.
but like the Bastion is like because Yuumi is so powerful. I underestimate how powerful Yuumi is with the Space Shield. Like I had a match against
Yeah.
Akshan, not Akshan, against Sandisk, and they had like the Obliterator follower, and they quick sended my guy and then tried to obliterate it through my Space Shield afterwards. And then I just had the Bastion as well and
Okay, that's
won
good.
the game.
What
It was,
I'm
like,
what
insane.
I'm really curious about is why. I mean, I also play Yuumi as a 3-off, but at the beginning, it was really just 2 Yuumis or 2 Yuumis and 1 Taric. But then suddenly
Okay.
people just jumped onto 3 Yuumis, and I still don't like it. I put 3 in because it makes your aggro matchup better, right? Because if you draw 2 Yuumis, you have this ping effect. But
Oh, yes.
I personally just hate having 3 Yuumis. It's
I
horrible.
mean, the Space Shield is just so good in this meta. Like you mentioned Noxus, but
Mhm.
I found that like they can't really deal with these Space Shields too well because they only have so many answers. Like you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
6
yeah.
faded units or 9 faded units, and they have 3 disintegrated, 3 scorched earth.
I was
Sometimes they just
also
have like 1 less.
I was also thinking about that, but I mean, as I said it a couple of minutes ago, but I don't know. It didn't
Yeah.
cross my mind. So yeah.
Probably just preference, but very interesting. I love talking about these. And now comes the hardest deck to build, I think. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, hardest. Oh no, I
The Winding Light.
Found this one easy to build.
yeah. I mean, there's if you look at the archetype analyzer from Balco again, everyone plays one list, and that's exactly my list. But you play no, it's exactly this list that everyone plays.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. Actually, I found this very interesting because if you play like Aphelios Victor as like the most tech cards you can possibly think of, and this list is just like everybody kind of agreed on it somehow.
Yeah,
Found
that's
really interesting.
maybe someone invented it, but actually for ladder I found that running 3 pharaohs instead of the trifecta it has a little higher win rate. I mean, data wise over a couple of 100 games, but I also
Yeah.
really just like that. I mean, Celestial Trifecta, just can win you certain control matchups if you draw it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
also, there's really a low cost of bringing the situational card because you run more discarders than you have targets. So you can
Right.
always just discard it, and otherwise you would discard a Pharaoh's Financier or something, or the card he created, but it doesn't make a huge difference then.
This is basically the list that Tippy Tips, a streamer I watch, played like for 30 games, and I've analyzed it a lot. And like sometimes Trifecta is like completely useless and you hate having it, and sometimes it just randomly wins you a game or 2. And it just obliterates like 4 things.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think
very interesting.
overall it's not better than a third Pharaoh's Financier, but especially for tournaments, it's just nice to have it.
So would you say this deck is comparable to Aphelios Victor, or just completely two completely different archetypes?
It's technically completely different because you
I can agree.
you main deck Flame Chompers, and it's just a really aggressive deck. And I said I didn't have that much time to try out new decks, but I was practice on Aphelios Victor and also Fizzlulu, and I feel like Fizzlulu plays kind of similar to Aphelios Vizoe.
Yes,
So I
Fizzlulu.
was just comfortable on this discard mechanic and everything. I think this deck is way more difficult to play because you have suddenly this Aphelios and Zoe win condition.
Right.
So it's really more difficult to make the right decisions, and I think that I oftentimes just pick the wrong weapons with Aphelios. I forget that I run, for example, Vi, and then that just having an Infernum in hand can be
Yeah.
really huge. So
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling 100% comfortable going into the tournament, but I think that at least 90% I was feeling comfortable, and that was enough for me, especially with this way better matchup table than Pantheon Yuumi.
Yeah, I agree with the comparisons that you were making. I made this meme comparison a while ago, saying that the Winding Light deck is just Yordles in arms, because that's what it feels like to me. You just kind of go wide, control, and then boom.
Yeah, it just has more win conditions.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the board based kind of gameplay that you have here, and then I always love the get excited and Mystic Shot package. Just haha, you're gonna die on the stack.
Yeah,
it's just so much damage.
Yeah, and also when playing Aphelios Victor a month ago or so, when Victor got buffed, it felt like you were kind of playing for value, but then you could just have random spots where you stun 2 or 3 enemy units and you just kill them. And this deck is just better at doing that.
Crazy, yeah. What do you think about this deck versus the Aphelios Fizz?
Yeah, that's actually somewhat of a sin of mine that I never played Fizz Aphelios. I kind of never got into it, even though it was really, really strong in last seasonals. And then also it's still perfectly viable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think both decks are really good, and yeah, I don't have an opinion on Fizz Aphelios, to be honest, because I don't have really much experience with it.
I blindly, I never played it before and played it in seasonals, and then I had to play in Aphelios Mirror. It was just like never again.
Gosh.
Yeah, mirrors
like
are so interesting, because when you first go into mirrors with not much experience, you do everything wrong, and it's just boring because it feels like it comes down to draws. But then at some point, if you have like some experience with the mirror matchup, you actually know what matters. For example, like this mirror Aphelios is very important. So if you play around him and outvalue your opponent, for example, then you just start winning these mirrors because your opponent doesn't really know how to play it. And once you figure out how to play the mirror, you just increase your win rate by a lot, especially for popular decks. And I think that's a nice experience.
Yeah, like this mirror is much more feasible because you have Get Excited, but in the other deck you don't have Get Excited, so you can't deal with your opponent's Aphelios. So it's literally just both people clicking on the Aphelios infinite times, and it's just like I thought there were like at least 100 moon weapons played in that game. It was crazy.
Yeah,
never again.
I also got baited into bringing Fizz Aphelios for the last seasonals and did really, really poorly.
Yeah, I just didn't bring it because I had no experience. I knew it was a cracked deck, but I decided I wanted to play a comfort deck instead.
No, and I think that's so much more valuable when it comes to preparation for tournaments and stuff. Just play comfort, you know what I mean? You're going to know the lines. You'll be able to notice spots that other players wouldn't, and I think that's definitely a big contribution to the success that you found with these. How many? You only brought like 6 different decks? Not even
5.
No, 1, 2, 5 different decks. So, I man, I think that all of those decks and the way that you've described them and the way that you teched them really empowered you to find as much success as you did, instead of trying to overly prepare for the meta or overly, big brain yourself into bringing a lineup that on paper is very good, but in your hands isn't.
Yeah, also I think, to be honest, you can talk about it how much you want, but at the end of the day, you just can't predict what people will bring. Especially in the second fight night, people brought a lot of Akshan, Lee Sin, or also Victor Karma. I mean, you can't predict that. It's impossible. And if people just decide to bring some random stuff, then you can't. Yeah, you can't tech your decks against everything. You can't practice every matchup. So yeah.
Yeah.
This,
Go ahead.
nothing. I just wanted to say this has become my favorite deck of the last few games with the Shuriman Tailstone.
I actually brought this deck to one of the seasonals I played.
Really?
Yeah, when Raven Scion was busted, I brought like that, and then I wanted to bring Zoe Nami, and so I just brought 3 decks and Darkness, so I hard targeted basically Raven Scion, and it worked out extremely well for me. So, yeah.
I'm just thinking of that because Wick, you rated all the Tailstones at a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And today I managed to Ionian Tailstone into Homecoming to bounce someone's Sundisk. And I
Crazy.
denied the right of negation. And then they open attacked me with all their units and they Shuriman Tailstoned into Spirit Fire. And they insta-conceded.
Yeah,
Tailstones.
I think the Tailstones are still very crazy. And I think that, we've been seeing a lot of success being found through them. Especially now when people are playing the those TF Nami decks with the Verbal Fish and those sometimes just give you a free Tailstone, which I think is kind of really silly when you have like that the level of reactability that the Tailstones provides, I think is just such a strength for those cards.
Yeah, actually, Akshan Sivir also could play Shuriman Tailstones and Demacian Tailstones. And
I feel like
yeah.
the Demacian Tailstones, I remember you discussing those during the tournament.
Yeah, because I was actually someone else was also bringing Akshan Sivir, and we faced in the mirror matchup, and they had Demacian Tailstones and Shuriman Tailstones, and I was just doomed because having a barrier effect against in the mirror before it was reposed, now it's Demacian Tailstones and then into Prismatic Barrier. It's just so huge, and you just I decided I would not play around it because it's a one-off. But yeah, it was definitely a huge swing for my opponent to play that. But also for the second fight night, I was thinking, should I play the Tailstones? But I decided against them because I don't think that they are that great. They do a lot in the mirror matchup, but in a lot of matchups, I don't know. I just didn't feel like they were providing enough.
I actually saw that game, and I really am interested. You don't like Quicksand, despite it being so good in the mirror. I've always found like Quicksand is like the beat all card where you like barrier can't be interacted with unless you have Quicksand. So I never.
Yeah,
found
but
this to be,
Quicksand is. I mean, in the mirror, Quicksand. I mean, the opponent's Sivir has spell sheet, so you need to waste the spell before. I don't know. Cataclysm is really nice to remove the spell sheet, but yeah. Because you still get the attack, yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yes. So we've already heard that this was like the last fight night. You won like 200 euros or dollars or whatever, right? Are you going to buy a new board or something from this money?
Yeah, actually, the first time I participated, I saw $200 or euros prize money and was thinking, oh, I get $200, but it's actually only like 100 for the first place. So of course I had to come back the second time.
You had to.
Absolutely.
But actually, I think, I mean, not in a disrespectful way. I think it's amazing that Fight Night is a thing and all, but it's like the second biggest tournament we have in EMA, and you get like $100, and even if you would win 4 times, so if you would win every week, every month, you would make $400 a month, which wouldn't even pay rent. So it's a little rough.
Yeah. I guess with that segue, if you guys are prepared, we can go into the fact that Fight Night has now been announced to be discontinued, and then we can talk about how the Legends of Runeterra esports scene isn't really sustainable in its current iteration. Like you're saying, you could play Fight Nights over and over again, and you're still not eating. And a lot of people they want to be able to participate in tournaments and they want to be able to sustain their lives through Legends of Runeterra. But I mean, it doesn't seem like the executives or the producers behind these companies that are organizing these tournaments even see it as, you know, a viable marketing tool. And I mean, you know, after participating in 2 of them, they're an entire day's worth of games, correct?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
not
do
that, like, also the preparation, right? So
and the
it's more than that.
preparation, right? You have to pour hours into these events just to, you know, even have a sniff at that top cut money. But I mean, I guess on a personal level, did you feel like it was valuable for you even outside of the monetary value that you gained?
Yeah, I mean, extremely. I didn't do it for the money, so it was just an amazing experience, and it's also a prestigious tournament. So
Mhm.
I really got a lot of attention by social media and other players because I won these tournaments. So I think it definitely changed quite some things, and I also got invited into secret Discord channels and stuff. So yeah, it just
Oh, I
feels
don't think you're allowed to talk about that one.
no, but it's definitely you just gain more also respect, I guess. Like,
Okay.
of course, every opinion is right, worth the same amount, but it's definitely that, yeah, just people take you more seriously when you have already won something. And that's also something where I was kind of insecure about because usually I don't feel very comfortable about talking about my wins. I feel like that's really everyone will just tell me, "Hey, stop, stop." I don't know the English word, but stop like boasting about your wins. But this time I just decided I still wanted to do it because it was really huge for me, and everyone seemed to, go well along with me, along with it, and congratulated me, and it was just a really nice feeling.
Yeah. I think it was a huge accomplishment.
Absolutely. And I
Oh, thank you.
want to congratulate you again.
Yeah.
Congratulate you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, what are your plans for the future? Are you going to pursue competitive lore further?
No.
Try to-
I think I mean, when I didn't make it with Gwent, I definitely like decided that I wouldn't do it. So I still really enjoy doing it on the side, but I think that going full time. I mean, especially in lore, it's really difficult, right? But overall,
difficult,
it's
right?
just really insecure, insecure. It's not certain that you will be able to sustain yourself, and you have to win these tournaments. And I don't think I'm correct enough for that, and I'm not sure if anyone is correct enough for that to win on a consistent basis. So
No.
I'm nowhere near to say I want to go all in as a competitive player.
Yeah.
Especially since Riot takes like half a year to pay out
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. Really sad. Yeah, Wick?
I was just gonna make a comment about how I agree that it's not really sustainable to all in on Legends of Runeterra esports. I think that, you know, we're still at a very early stage in terms of where the community is and where a lot of people want it to be. In regards to your future plans, are you going to be trying to go for the 7-2 qualifications for this upcoming seasonal? I feel like, you know, you're hot right now, and I think that it would be, you know, if you're ever going to continue your momentum, I think going into seasonals is like obviously the best way for you to make a lot of money off of Legends of Runeterra.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really focus on this monetary aspect or want to rely on it. Because I'm studying mathematics. I will find a job and make good money. But
True.
I have played in every in the seasonals in the last four, and in the first one I went 6-3, and in everyone else I went 7-2. So I have never made top 30 at the end of the season. I think you need to make it in with 7-2 score. And yeah, I unfortunately haven't managed to climb that high on ladder. I also have like huge ladder anxiety, so but yeah,
understandable.
I mean, I will continue, of course, to play these seasonals. They are really highlights for me. Just being able to play these super competitive days. It's a full day, so it's just a good experience, even if I
Right.
don't win.
No, I agree. What's go ahead.
No, absolutely.
I was just gonna ask, what sort of changes do you think needs to happen for grassroots tournaments, for Riot official tournaments, in order to make this game a little bit more appealing and a little bit more viable for people to participate in on a little bit more, but what would convince you to be more committed to Legends of Runeterra, I guess?
Oh, that's such a difficult
Huge
question
question. I know, I'm
because
sorry.
I think that I mean, people want Legends of Runeterra to be something big. That's I mean, everyone wants. I mean, if you love Legends of Runeterra, you of course want it to become big and the next big thing. But I think it's we saw it in a lot of other card games that card games don't get watched that much. So it's not like it will never become as big as Legends, League of Legends or something. And at least for me, I can accept that, and I don't really have these high hopes for Legends of Runeterra and are waiting for it to become really big or something.
Okay.
And I just and I take it as it is, and I enjoy it as it is, and especially with writing articles, I think I've found my niche where I have a purpose to play the game, even if I don't have huge tournament successes. And I just feel like I'm spending my time really well when I play. Yeah, when I play on ladder, even if I don't hit rank 1 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. And the most important part is that you have fun in what you're doing.
Yes.
And whether that is tournaments or writing articles.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff
definitely.
everybody can do.
Also, when I went into Fight Night, I mean, of course, you're always nervous and excited and everything like that, and that's nice because you feel alive. But I mean, I didn't agree even to participate in Fight Night the first time I was asked, because I was so nervous and thought I wasn't good enough. But I really just went in with, hey, even if I go out 0-2, I just want to have fun and play some decks I enjoy playing, and I just want to have a cool experience. And I think that's the best attitude to go in with into the game.
I agree. I hope that your success with Fight Night kind of propels you forward into being a little more confident in your play and alleviates some of the anxieties that you may have had. But it sounds like you're managing that so well on your own. Finding what brings you the most joy in Legends of Runeterra and what makes you feel very fulfilled. I think that's a very difficult balance for people, especially ones who want more out of the game. I think the game offers us a lot of things to do, but a lot of people only want to focus on being very good in one aspect of the game. So I'm glad that you've been able to diversify a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just really also something very new for me, right? That I met so many people through the game because I'm really, really shy and socially anxious, and I don't approach people on my own. Actually, when I joined ABG, I really wanted to join. I just was like, oh, could be such a huge opportunity. But I was too afraid to write Wick, even though, I'm one of the founders of RIWAN, but still of the Discord server. But but I still was I was too shy to approach him. But then actually Balance, one of the other co-founders of the server, he just spammed Wick with, Leer, this guy is really cracked. You should make him join ABG and everything.
Yeah.
So just through him, I managed to join ABG. And also, definitely shout outs. And Yeah, just overall, I really also in Gwent and in Hearthstone or something, I never had people where I could play with them or talk to them because I just wouldn't approach people. But through this writing job, I just came into contact with Herko Kurgans and all just other writers. And this just kind of snowballs that if you get to know one person, you get to know other persons. And now, I kind of have friends through Legends of Runeterra and people to talk about the game, and it's just really amazing.
Yeah, I think that's exceptionally valuable, is to have a network of players that you're able to trust and who you can grow with. And, a little shout out to Always Be Gaming, but I think that was one of the biggest motivators that I had, was that when I was trying to compete and playing in tournaments, I would do it all by myself. And, at the end of the day, everyone complains about ladder because it's not good practice for tournaments. And when I had joined a Scrim Discord in the past, it wasn't really conducive because there was a player there who would just like bully me relentlessly, and it got to the point where I would just like I just stopped playing because it was so disheartening to have someone just ridicule you constantly. So I think the best part about Always Be Gaming is that you have all these people who are focused on empowering each other. And I think that with so many people working together on towards a collective goal, I think that there's going to be so much more success to be found through each other instead of just trying to do everything by yourself. So, I guess I'll take this time to thank you for joining ABG, and hopefully we can continue to provide value, and we can all grow together still.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I'm sorry for the experience you had to go through. I think also that ABG is really amazing, especially actually 05 WTF. He was like the EMEA finalist of the last season, right?
Crazy.
And after I won my first fight night, he was just writing me a private message with, hey, huge congrats. And I was just, oh my God, this is like this huge player would go out of their way to congratulate me personally. That was really surreal. So it just shows how much the ABG members care and want to build each other up.
Yeah, and it was so great. I found him. He's number 76 on the ladder right now. And we had an internal tournament, and he was so helpful. He crushed us all. We went like 3-0. I didn't even win a single game against him. Most people didn't. But
he's very good.
He's like insanely good, and he was like the biggest brain play ever. Where he would instead of going for lethal, would spell thief into a Rite of Negation to counter the opponent's Rite of Negation. Then they play another Rite of Negation, and then he would go for lethal. It's so mind-blowingly good, and he was super nice. And I'm so sorry to hear that you, Wick, got bullied by somebody.
That's fine.
It's completely different in ABG.
Yeah, that's I think I definitely took that experience and tried to foster the opposite environment for ABG. I think that we've got a really good group of players together. So obviously Leer is cracked, and then the 2 fight nights before that, Jinden, another ABG member, also went back to back. So we've had actually 4 weeks of ABG domination in fight night, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think these Scrim Discord channels, I guess. I mean, there was recently also one made where all ABG members got invited to Bright, but I feel like there are always certain players that just scrim together, and it's really difficult to say hey, I also want to scrim. I mean, maybe I'm just really shy, but it feels like there's a certain group and they just scrim, I guess. And that's nice because I mean, in ABG it's nice because we all get invited to do these scrim tournaments every Thursday. And I really appreciate, because actually that's where El Tiburo, or how he's pronounced, I don't know. The shark, I don't know. El Tiburo.
Oh, Tiburon.
Tiburon. Oh, yes. We did kind of an interview with Pandex and also him, and he just talked how he would scrim with his players, and I thought it was amazing, and I also wanted that. But in EMEA we didn't have someone like that on ABG, because he was focused on the AM team. So
preparing for stuff. But
yeah, so I'm really happy that we don't have this type of coach, but we still have these tournaments on each Thursday, which is a step into the right direction, I think.
yeah, I definitely want to get Tiburon involved with EMEA and APAC because the way that he gets so into the weeds with his players. He'll just sit in those calls for hours, helping people figure things out, and I think that's just so valuable to have somebody
Absolutely.
there for you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have qualified without Tiburon for seasonals. He was like with me
nice.
for the last 3 matches and just
Oh,
like
right.
Oh, yeah, I
told
think
me that I
it's
should add him RIWAN for scouts, for example. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's also nice that on ABG there's not only cracked players. I mean, if there would only be 05 WTFs on the team, I wouldn't feel comfortable. But with having, for example, Kitty, who doesn't play the game for so long, or also you, Conan, just players that are not super cracked, it just feels, I just feel more comfortable to practice with you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Nice.
I mean, we even have some bronze players who
Uh-huh.
we've kind of brought into the team to, we're mentoring them.
Yeah, but that's also
Nice.
what I
Valuable.
at least I took up as information that Pendex also had just fairly new players that weren't very experienced with the game, and then they just built up together to become these big team that would win tournaments and stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's just a real huge success story that everyone, I think, can relate to because everyone started at zero. So yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And I also really like how you said that we always get invited again to these tournaments because it's just like a Discord channel where people always talk. We are always like a little bit shy to join in, but if there's it's like a weekly thing, a weekly project, and you get notified, you get invited, and it's clear that it's open for everyone, then you are more likely to join than if it would be just like people hanging out.
Yeah,
You would
like
be the one walking in.
like in ABG, like Respo is always online in some Discord channel. It's crazy. And then people just join him, and I don't understand how people can do that because I would never join just some random channel and discuss stuff.
Well, hopefully we do see you hop in every now and then now because the invitation's always open.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Also, as a funny last note, did anybody else not notice that Broadwing is gigantic?
I did not notice that it was huge.
It literally carries like a guy there, Noxian guy.
Yeah,
And,
I
like, I
didn't
thought it would be
realize that
like
at all.
that big as this guy.
Yeah, right.
Okay, funny side note.
That is funny.
Anyways, yes, I think we have discussed a lot, and
Yes.
this was a great opportunity. Great to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
And
for having
again,
me.
a big shout out to RIWAN. Do you want to do a shout out for RIWAN?
Yeah, of
Leer?
course.
Shout out to RIWAN. No, I mean, yeah, shout outs, of course, to Herco and Balance, who came up or pulled me in with even founding this Discord server. And then also for, Conansson and Solitary Place. And Monty is also now on the mod team. It's, just really amazing to have these people and, discuss stuff and do things behind the scenes. Then, of course, you guys for doing this podcast. It's amazing. And I mean, shout outs to, I mean, I can't shout out everyone, but a lot of people here do a lot of things like J-Dragon or Wick or other people. Yeah. So it's really, really nice. And also something we never planned with this Discord. We wanted to interview some people and suddenly it blew up.
It did.
And it's open for everyone. So no matter if you like poetry, you like testing meme decks, or you like testing being a competitive player, you can join in yourself in the link down in the description and talk to us, at us, and are like, hey, Leer, and I can talk to you directly, or hey, Wick, take me to ABG. And then you're like,
yeah, definitely don't feel shy about it. I love talking to people. I'm just bad at making a conversation on my own. So I appreciate if people start the conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks for joining again. Let's end this here. And again, check out RIWAN. Check out... I saw you had a Twitch channel, Leer. Are you actually streaming on that? Or just Fight Night?
Yeah, I reviewed my Fight Night games. I I don't stream much sometimes, but I mean, my Twitch is Leer XYZ. You can
Will be a
follow
link in the
me.
description as well. So
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
leave a like. Or
Maybe if
follow
like
us.
10 people follow, I will stream again.
Okay, what if 1,000 people follow?
There we go.
Then I'm too
There we
shy.
go.
So only 10. The 11th
Only
one is going to be kicked out again.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Amazing.
thanks for watching and see you in the next week's episode.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.